Okay, did have another video sorted with about RCT or Retro Chip Tester Pro. Done it and discovered I had the audio disabled, which was an absolute joy. So rather than try to work out what I was trying to say and go through it, just going to sort of do it again. So if you've got your Retro Chip Tester built, and if you're getting some errors like which hopefully, if I've done the video right, be displayed above. This is what happened to me previously. You'll get some stuff with some greater than arrows or less than arrows, and maybe you'll get a 1 like I've got here, as opposed to 0, which means something else is going on. But and for the concept of this, it'd be just the 1 and greater than. So on the display, you'll get a pair of numbers going downwards, so which may be, so I don't know, pin 26, which might have a 1 on it, and then you'll have a 25 and 27 next to it, and you'll have a less than and a greater than. But what that actually shows is whatever that middle pin is, or it may not necessarily have a 1, but less than or greater than. What it shows is when it's doing the testing, the self-test, and it's doing the result, it says that Stephan, the designer, basically said that essentially is following the pin next to it. So basically, if it's the if you got pin 26, it's got a less than, it means there is whatever's happening with voltages on 26 is following the pin to the left, which is 25. Or if, for instance, you had a greater than on 25, that means that is following the voltages which are on 26, which is the one to the right of it. Obviously, if you've got a 1 for the result, which is then, and you have a greater than to the left and let's say a less than to the right, that means the pins either side of what that one's showing is following the voltage test of that. So again, with the error displayed there, which you'll probably find that you'll get a 1 on VCC, if I remember where this was. I think VCC was here. Was that VDD? I don't know, can't remember. But VDD, oops, I'll do the second here. Give me a second. Look at that. Oop, give me a sec, because I can't see, because I'm going blind. Well, we've got VDD, yeah, so I was right. So you got VDD, VCC, and what you may find is a couple of ZIF sockets here that have the VCC voltage, depending on the pins and where voltage is. You may find that VDD and VCC is the same. So in this case, what you should have, hopefully if it works, is a self-test should bring lots of X's, which is okay, more X's, which is okay, and more X's there, which is obviously okay. Right, so the designer Stephan, what he actually said is, if you've got lots of if you've got ones and less than's, greater than's and stuff like that, what it probably means that if you use flux, like I did actually use a copious amount of rosin flux. So the issue is there's some this can produce some capacitance between the pins. So especially where you've got the diodes, and when it measures, so it's a little bit sensitive. So what it can actually do is it can cause some capacitance, which allows a bit of means that it will cause issues in the self-tests. So that's how he explained it to me. I had an email for it, but suffice to say, what it's bound to be is they haven't cleaned it off properly. So what you need to make sure is, obviously underneath, make sure you clean everything off as much as possible. For the price of isopropyl alcohol, you might as well just use a lot, obviously in a well ventilated area, because otherwise you're going to make yourself ill and nauseous, and you don't want to well, basically make yourself ill of it. And on the top side, you certainly want to make sure that you get under all the transistors and stuff like that. And the bit I found as with the transistors, so I found some bits of flux, is especially under the ZIF socket. So the ZIF socket is going to be a bit harder. So obviously you can just use a brush, which isn't obviously going to affect it. So you can just use standard isopropyl and then just use copious amounts and just brush it over to start with. and that will get rid of a lot of that. Or you can use, as I actually ended up buying, some spray stuff. This actually got rid of a lot of the errors I was having. Just spray it around, and obviously make sure you dry it off properly. But just spraying lots of this around and under there, that got rid of most of the errors bar one. And then what I end up having to do to get rid of that final error, put that down, is I actually got some IPA solvent cleaner. So obviously it's pressurized, which means it can actually get spray right the way around under there. And again, for a lot of aggro, for the cost of this, well, not aggro, but to save yourself a lot of aggro, just spray this like quite a lot underneath. And then the final bits I was doing, which was just to try and dislodge any other bits, was just to get some air duster and spray it underneath as well, so basically to help spray out from underneath it. So after doing all of that, essentially what I ended up doing is pretty much every time get correctly running self-tests, just like you've seen there. The only odd thing I find, if I put the power straight on and then immediately do the self-test, then sometimes I can get a little bit of one, but otherwise literally leave it on for 10 seconds and then it's fine. So hopefully I find it's useful. So rather than going round and taking Xenas off or diodes or go through transistors and end up all this stuff, the first thing is make sure everything is totally clean and you've removed any evidence of all your soldering and flux. Obviously check all the solders, you haven't got any dry joints and stuff. I did find the other day the middle LED here started flashing on and off, but it turns out there's a tiny little solder ball underneath it, so it was actually sensitive enough to actually not do that. But yeah, that is pretty much it. So yeah, hopefully that's useful.